Continues. We're not stopping. The election studios are still open. We're still looking at the results that are coming in from the National Collation Center at 11 a.m. as promised by the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We will all be joining the National Collation Center to continue to see the results that are being announced and reeled in. But in the meantime, I'm being joined by Gbolahan Olojede. I did insist that you be here this morning. Well, it's good to have you here. I'm so grateful that you were able to make it here this early.
Yeah, good morning. Nice to be here.
Great. Well, I'm sure that everyone, including the blind people, have heard, of all that's happened all through the weekend up until today. Let me start by asking, where did you see the results, announcements dragging into today? I mean, before we even got into this election.
No way. To my mind, the promise that we were given by INEC and the electoral law that had supported the promises they were making about electronic transmission were meant to make this result declaration faster and easier. I mean, I saw some doctors and professors who were struggling with the arithmetic of putting numbers together. And by the time they finished putting the numbers together, it would not add up. And then they will say, oh, we step down the result of, you come and represent again. Now, why do things like that happen? It is because of manual human intervention that is too much. When you look at those Excel sheets, you have about maybe about over 20 columns that have to be populated. In the course of manually dealing with such large Excels, you are prone to certain errors. So that is why you see somebody who is a professor, for example, and is presenting numbers and it's not adding up. Those are what come with too much human intervention bring errors. So these are part of what I thought the electronic side of things will have helped us to take care of. So that's why for me, today is Tuesday, 3 days after the election day. And I'm not so sure we are halfway gone. We've not declared officially from Abuja, we have not declared up to 16 results or 18. We've not really, yes, 18 is just 50%. There are 36 states, so we've not declared up to that, including on day number 3 after the election. So that's a disappointment. It could have been a lot better. Starting from the day itself, we saw the issues of serious logistic failure. Incidentally, logistic problem has been there before now. In 2019, logistic was the reason for postponing 2019 presidential election.
Absolutely.
So now you now start to ask yourself, so what has changed between that time and now, such that we still found ourselves in a situation in which the logistic did not work as well as it's supposed to work. In a lot of places, INEC officials' election materials arrived late. And that means polling or election actually started late, dragged into the nights. In certain instances, people voted on the next day.
Yes, absolutely.
Up until 12 of the next day.
3 a.m.
So that is part of the problem. So the logistic was not nice enough. The electronic transmission that was promised did not exactly happen as it was supposed to, and up till now, I'm not so sure if we have gotten up to 50% or 60 of those. Yeah. I've not checked today, to be honest. Yeah,
but to think that for the first time, accreditation and voting was happening simultaneously. You know how we used to vote. You do your accreditation, go,
come back,
and then you come back. So that also elongated the process. But I'll tell you what, I kept telling everybody, I voted in less than 5 minutes.
Is it Beavers?
In less than 5 minutes.
Did what Beavers was supposed to do and did it effectively. So technology, as far as Beavers technology is concerned, is not a problem. What we had in this election were human issues, human challenges. The technology of the Beavers technology did not fail us. It lived up to its expectation. But the human side of things did not live up to the expectation.
Let's look at some of the things that transpired yesterday. I mean, yesterday was we had a lot of issues.
Pretty hot.
So we started first by, I think here in Lagos, we had the Labour Party governorship candidate have a press briefing of sorts complaining about, how the election was marred by violence. And then back in Abuja, we had the Dino Melaye situation where he kept speaking over the chairman saying, we need you to be able to address our concerns instead of continuing with, he said, why do you want to continue announcing what he did? Let's Marriott tally these numbers. If they are actually okay, then we can proceed. But if there are issues, then why are we continuing with this? But then the chairman actually said, if you have any evidence, bring it to the commission. Mm-hmm. And we have to continue with this. This led to the walkout of not just the PDP, but the Labour Party. Again, somewhere in Ogun State, the former President Olojede Obasanjo was also addressing the press. And there are a few things worthy of note in his statement. First things first, he called for calm. Okay. Then he talks about the fact that there was, we did not obey the beaver rule that we set. He called on the INEC boss to say that he needs to prove to Nigerians that he has clean hands. He also talked about the fact that they need to do all that they can within their powers for as long as it takes to clean up the error that has been made. He also alleged collusion, corruption. He also spoke about Mr. President's promise of a free, fair and credible elections, which should be his legacy when he leaves office. I think we'll start with President Obasanjo and then we'll move to other issues.
Okay. Sometimes in 1993, I was coming into Lagos. And when we got to the Long Bridge, I think it's called Kara or something, we suddenly saw vehicles facing us, coming from Lagos and facing us. And the driver said, oh, there's a problem. So he started talking to some other people that were commercial drivers like him. What's going on? He said, there's a problem in Lagos. So he said, look, people, I'm turning back to Ibadan. If anybody wants to go back with me to Ibadan, you can follow me. Otherwise, you have to drop now. Now, I was one of those people. I mean, I was 30 years younger. So I was one of those people who said, look, whatever it is, we'll go face it. So I came down. Let me tell you what happened to me that day. I walked from Kara Bridge to Ojota through the entire Ikorodu Road.
That's a long walk.
Ikorodu Road through the entire Murtala Muhammad to Ijora Nepa quarters where I was staying on that day. On the second day, because my aunt gave me some very strong analgesic, on the second day, I couldn't even descend the staircase. Wow. So I need to find, I saw news and that people were killed on that same day that I was walking all over the place. So I got lucky. Tens of people were killed in Lagos that day. So the memory for me is the memory of an advocacy for an annulment. In 1993, 30 years ago, in the middle of declaration of results state by state, we halted that process, and the consequences were not particularly palatable. So if we're saying cancel election, I'm saying, yes, we've done it before, and we have 1993 as a reference point. We should go back to it because it will give us a lot of perspectives on things to do, things not to do, way to do things, and way not to do things. So that we will not just be blindly walking into what we managed to escape. In 2015, according to the CIA, this country was meant to have ceased to exist by 2015. Are we trying to reenact that in what is going on? So what I'm saying in essence is that we have to be very careful about how we approach this. It's a deeply, deeply emotional issue. Now, I'll come to OBJ as an individual and then to the content of what he said. OBJ is an elder statesman on one side, but it's also a politician on the other side. A politician in the sense that on this particular matter, he has taken a position. He has a candidate. So he has a horse in this race, or is it a dog in the race that they say? He has a dog in the race. So it's a case of you cannot have your cake and eat it. If you have become partisan it will affect the perception given to an elder man's statement issued by you. You have a competition, you have a candidate, and somebody could just summarily reduce whatever letter you have written to, oh, will he have written it if his candidate was leading? And once you have that kind of a situation, and it's a valid question to ask, will he have written it if his candidate was leading? If he wouldn't have written it, then what is the motive of doing this? You know.
So you're saying that let's shoot the messenger and not even take the message?
That's why I said I will look at it from Obasanjo as an individual, then I will come to the message. So as an individual, people will say, look, 2003, 2007, you gave us the worst election in the history of this country. Those results were probably just written in some rooms or something. You know, nobody knows. But people, the general perception was that those elections did not reflect anything at all. So they're saying, so where are you coming from? But here are some of the realities in what he said. Or first, there are also very weighty allegations in that letter. Corruption issue, blood money, all those things are there. And one would have expected that as an elder statesman coming to the table with those things, or maybe he has facts we don't know. It's possible that he has as fact. Otherwise, they are too weighty to come on air and write a letter and publish about an entire system and institution. It's like a pull down. But here are the other side of that, which is some of the content. Leaving out all those weighty allegations, is the fact that the election has not proceeded as expected, which was where we started from. Logistic issue up until the most controversial part has been the issue of transmission of result. As at the last time that I checked, it was still about 50-something thousand. I've stopped checking now. Incidentally, I'm probably one of the earlier user of IREV. I got on it right from middle of the night on Saturday when those things started to come in, and there were quite a lot of it. And I made a lot of noise about the fact that, look, because as at morning on Sunday, I had not seen a single one for Lagos State, for example. So, and I was on there, and I made noise about that. That look, we want to be able to see this. I will go there, I will open them, and I will see some of the results. The observation I made was that in certain instances, some of those results were blurry. But that has...
Yeah, most of them were.
Yeah. But from what we're seeing on the internet now, some of those events has even overtaken all of that. People are now showing certain results that are meant for maybe another state in a different state. In fact, in one of the ones I saw, it was a human head that was there and not a result. I mean, one of those circulating on the internet, yes, it was the face of somebody that was there and not a result. So it's even now beginning to look like, is it possible that even as at now, that platform has been hacked? Is there a possibility? Because I wonder what a human head, if it is real, I mean, this is social media stuff. But if that was real, has it been hacked? The communication of INEC on this election has not been as good as it could be. Has not been at all.
Let's talk about the financing of this whole electoral process and the timing that INEC has had after every election cycle. And it's our job as journalists to question INEC for every time they come up with, oh, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. I mean, I covered the Anambra elections, and the major problem that the Anambra election had, the major setback, was logistics also. And then, of course, inability of INEC ad hoc staff to use the beavers.
Oh, training issue.
Yes. And INEC did promise, because I also hear, oh, don't worry, we've learned lessons from this election cycle, and so we'll be better for it for the next election. This was a training ground for Oshun. This was a training ground for Ekiti. But we almost saw a tiny replication of the same things, where election officials don't show up early, voting doesn't start on time. But I mean, let's give kudos to INEC for what happened in Oshun. It was okay.
Probably the best of the off-cycle elections.
Yes. But then for the general, because I also remember asking Festus Okoye, these are just states, just one state. And so you can have all the manpower, just pushed and targeted to one state. But when it's time to have the general elections, it's 36 states of the Federation. And so it means that you have a larger chunk of people to deal with. How certain are you that you'll be able to deal with the security issues, the logistics issues, and tech issues? And they promised us, I'm sure if I look for the audio, I would find it, that everything was watertight, it was safe, it was secure, the beaver was impenetrable, INEC had their firewalls up, etc., etc. But the thing that everybody looked forward to the most, we didn't see it. Now, the biggest question is, why has INEC not addressed this? People hoped that this would be addressed on Saturday. It wasn't. People hoped it was going to be addressed on Sunday. It wasn't. Yesterday also came and went. Nothing has been addressed. Where does this leave the average voter who had one way or the other braved the odds to show up and vote, especially for the new entrants, the guys who have never voted in their lives?
It's actually a dampener to people's enthusiasm. It dampened. And I've started hearing people who are saying, I won't vote again, especially some new first-time voters saying, I don't think I'm going to vote again. So on one side, I think Beavers did what it was hired to do. I also think that the INEC staff knowledge of the device has improved. Most of those guys were able to handle the Beavers properly. There were issues around security, but in spite of it, it appears that this is still the least violent of the elections we've had. So on those sides, things are good. But look at that letter that came from INEC on why IREV did not perform as it's supposed to be. That letter was almost insulting. And why did I say that? Okay, IREV has been there. The portal has been working well in off-cycle election. There is no off-cycle election that involves two states. It's usually one state that is involved in an off-cycle election. Now, so if an off-cycle election is taking place in, say, Yobe, I as a person, I may not bother because maybe I don't have any connection to Yobe. I won't even log on to IREV. Nothing. It worked well in those one-state election. Now, coming to the general election, it's going to be 36 states plus 1. 37. You're scaling from 1 to 37. You're not just scaling the number of states. You're also scaling the number of users who will be trying to log on onto that same system.
Absolutely.
People who were not interested when the election was in one state are now interested, including myself. I was on that system almost permanently for several hours. The question is, what preparation was done? Is it that you did not anticipate it? You didn't know that there will be a whole lot of people trying to access that system? You don't know that it will slow down things and all of that? You don't know that there will even be also people who have other intentions who will be trying to attack that system? So that was a grand failure in spite of the letter that was written. INEC failed very badly in not being able to have a portal that could support 36 plus 1 states in this election.
Let's okay, we're going to go for a quick break now, but when I come back, I want to address the rising tensions in the minds of people. We need to talk about that because we can't have this conversation without addressing that. And let's talk about how it would affect our democratic process within and without the country. We'll be right back. Gbolahan Olojede is here with us in the studio. It's still the Morning Crossfire. I am Maryann Okon. I will be back after this break, and we're still talking about the elections because this is the mandate.
Sports after this.
There is a huge difference.
I assume that you would run because I want to give the listeners context for the conversation.
Never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Gbolahan have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing peoples with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Olojede Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Oh, the only detergent that keeps me bright and fresh. I know the waste time to wash. I thought my clothes have the best, so why go less? You can't wash a lot with a little Viva. Use Viva. Don't waste your time on his money. Use Viva. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever.
Viva detergent, quality cleaning powder from Aspira.
Hello, get advantage of the global financial markets with Hantech Markets in 2023, as you can learn how to beat the surging inflation by earning. Hantech has over 33 years of industrial experts and offers a platform to trade, free learning, and wealth generation opportunities. What are you waiting for? Send an SMS to 0805 690 5612. That is 0805 690 5612. Or visit our office at 94 Allen Avenue, Ikeja by Odalade Market, Lagos. Again, to participate, send an SMS to 0805 690 5612. Trade like a pro with Hantech Markets today.
Golden Morn, so special to us. Golden Morn, so special to us. I cannot go a day without this goodness in the bowl, giving energy to make it stay golden. Golden Morn, so special to us.
Millions of people are ready to vote. Are you one of them? The hero of this election can be you. Yes, you. As you choose to come out against all limitations of discomfort, fear, and lack of motivation, we believe it's your turn to watch and vote. Your turn to build a Nigeria you can rely on for your future and that of your family. Heroes save the day. Be the democracy. Win because you can vote and choose.
This message is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria.
Group A of the I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions has 3 ambitious debaters gunning for glory. Deborah Pamzat went from playoffs to runner-up in March 2022 in upset after upset. But this time, Lagos knows never to underestimate her. Chiagozie Isidore Ogbonna Ugu won the first ever I Beg to Differ match, beating future champion Ruth Okorocha. But he lost in the quarterfinals of that same tournament to finalist Emanuela Nadi. And now he's in a group with the girl who beat Emanuela, Tamvita Kaushik. The first ever champion is the group's top seed. Will she retain her undefeated streak? Find out this March at the I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions on 99.3 Nigeria Info FM and Wazobia Max TV.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jando and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olojede Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. The race is on, and Nigerians will decide. People's voice and verdict.
They are not going to the ward. Nobody is collecting from any ward. I have been in a polling unit where the INEC officials, the party agents, and the voters are all complicit.
Citizens and their mandate.
People don't really know. Nigerians don't really know what governance is.
They have described the process. It's really very seamless. I would want to believe that everyone will take advantage of this opportunity.
Nigeria Info Election Day Studios presents The Mandate 23. Minute-by-minute election day coverage, 36 states and the FCT. Sheriff Quadri, Jimmy Disu, Ireti Bakare, Maryann Okon, Joyce Oyemwa, Sandra Ezekwesili, and Ufoma Egbamno with data analysis in real time. Date, Saturday, February 25th and Sunday, February 26th. Join the conversation live from 5 a.m. The Mandate 23. It's a marathon. This is the Mandate 23. The Mandate 23. Live.
33 minutes gone past the 8 o'clock hour. This is The Mandate. Yes, we will continue to talk about election-related issues until we get the final results for the presidential and National Assembly elections across the country. My name is Maryann Okon. From now till the top of the hour, 9 o'clock, we still have Gbolahan Olojede here in the studio. We've been looking at taking a full assessment of, what happened on Saturday and Sunday, and of course, what has transpired until today. Now, Gbolahan, before we went on the break, I said we were going to look at other issues. But before we do that, we've seen that the EU has spoken, the ECOWAS has spoken, the African Union has spoken. And they all are in agreement that there are certain things that need to be fixed.
Correct.
Some of them, a huge chunk of them, are saying the elections were seemingly peaceful, but for a few pockets of violence here and there. But the European Union most succinctly, harped upon the major problems that this elections faced. For Nigeria, which is supposedly the big brother on the African continent, because I started the election day by saying that the whole world is watching us, and whatever Nigeria does or doesn't do, the rest of the continent is looking to us. And for some of us who were able to see what happened in Kenya, the Kenyan elections, that's usually marred by violence, but for once, the people decided that they were not going to go that direction, and it turned out really great. Why didn't we borrow something, even if it's not a lift, maybe something from the Kenyan experience?
Well, arguably, it could also be said that this is probably the least violent election. I remember some election, even in this Lagos, where 3-4 days after the election, there were still gunshots in the night. That people even left their houses and moved to other parts of Lagos. But largely, in spite of what we had, it's still more peaceful. However, I think the grand failure here, because we even could have coped with the logistic issues. I mean, election was extended and all of that. But at the heart of this thing is this so-called transmission. And the failure of that has led to a whole lot of issue. The engagement at the National Collation Center yesterday wasn't particularly palatable. And we even saw a walkout. How we proceed from here, how we resolve that conundrum is very important to the survival of democracy in Nigeria, as well as even Nigeria as a country. Because when people are torn apart in several directions by emotions and their disappointment, it doesn't augur well for the unity that the country needs to move ahead. So let's be able to have the critical stakeholders come together and deal with how we resolve that matter so that the country can move forward. If the problem had been money, I'm sure if the chairman of INEC asked for more money, that look, okay, this IREV, we need to upgrade it or we need to create a redundancy. I'm not a techie person, but at least I worked in an environment that also highly tech-based in some of my employment. So I know that some of these things can happen, but people do prepare for them. And by that preparation, they're able to mitigate or reduce the kind of incidences that we are now talking about.
Yeah.
We did not do that. That is why we are here. So it's now a matter of how do we move forward from here. There might have been one or two things that we copied from all the other elections, including Kenya. Though even Kenya itself was also contested at the last minute. Still part of our democracy. But it was contested, it was resolved. So even if there are also contests here, can we resolve the contest?
How do you think the world perceives all the things that happen? Because Nigeria was on full blast, and with what's happened so far, because I was just telling you something off the microphone that everybody wanted to know what's happening. I even have a friend who works with the International Criminal Court, and kept saying, can you give us some information? And I said, I'm busy.
I'm trying to avoid.
I'm busy.
For how long are you gonna be busy? I think you should speak to them. For someone like me, I felt ashamed at how things played out in certain directions. As far as that portal is concerned, what I've been telling people who had concern and had a discussion with me is that, look, you don't have to worry. After you have voted in your PU and the result has been declared and even pasted, take a snapshot of it. You can go to the IREV, call up that your own result, and you can see that it agrees exactly with what you have already scanned onto your phone, and therefore that will give you the necessary comfort that your vote counted. Now, when that same person has done what I said, he has voted, he has scanned the result, but he goes to the IREV and cannot find it, he's disillusioned, he's unhappy. So those are the kind of messages we are also portraying to the larger world, that a critical transparency platform failed in the course of the election, because that's what I just described now is a critical element of transparency as far as this election is concerned.
And this could have been one of those things that could have exonerated INEC and not being called the names that we're hearing
all
people
sort
call
of name, all weighty allegations. They could have avoided it. It has now become a matter of, okay, it has happened, so we need to fix it, which is why what you probably heard the chairman saying yesterday was, look, okay, we've heard all these problems you guys have raised. As INEC, we have the power to review. Bring all these issues, we will review it, and then we will take a decision. And but the people are saying, no, you need to stop it now. So that's the point of this agreement with INEC. And I said, no, I'm not going to stop. I want this process to run the entire stream onto conclusion. But I'm taking note of all your complaints, and I have within my power as INEC under the law to review all these issues, and we will review it. And issues that require further action, we will take those actions.
I want to bring Lagos into this conversation before I ask my very last question. 0700 993 993 993. That's 0700 993 993 993. You can also join the conversation if you're a lady. Call 01 465 7190. That's 01 465 7190. Or you could tweet at Nigeria Info 99.3. We're live, facebook.com/Nigeria Info. We're live also on YouTube, and you could be part of the conversation there. Would love to read from you. But let me go straight to the phone lines first. Hello, good morning. Apologies. If that was you, please call us back. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, call us back. Hello, good morning. Hello. Please turn off your radio. Please turn off your radio when you call us.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, what's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is Engineer Samuel.
All right, you got 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to say that everything happening right now is caused by INEC. And any allegation anybody is making against INEC, they will have a justifiable reason to do it. And I'm part of them because INEC cannot convince any sensible person that you delayed upload of results for over 48 hours and that you are doing that not to buy time for the rigging of the election. I think I need INEC to make sense to us, to explain to us logically that that was not what happened. And even the IRA does not really give us opportunity to checkmate INEC because, I mean, even if I see the results of my own ward being uploaded and it is right, how do I confirm that the numbers INEC is announcing are adding up? So I thought that the IRF was supposed to be a numbering system where the numbers are adding up in real time. Everybody's saying it. So that the announcement would be the same thing as what we have on the IRF. But now, even though I see a result and it's right on the IRF, how do I confirm that the numbers being added up at the Collation Center are a sum of the numbers of the images that have been uploaded?
All right, I have to let you go because it's 60 seconds per call. Now, it's very interesting that, you mentioned that, one of the uploads you saw on IREV was the head of a human. Another person has, a domestic observer has, on one of the TV stations this morning, alleged that on IREV portal, Jigawa has Abia results loaded instead, and then pictures of a flower, a woman with the words results uploaded by like etc and stuff.
You see
like
what
that.
I'm saying?
There's a lot of confusion.
Those things are either are they errors or are people already hacking that system and putting stuff on it. Now, if that room is there for people to hack and start putting all stuff, flowers, human head, you will start seeing goat head and all the stuff in that particular space. It is more or less as if it has been rubbished. It has been rubbished as it is today.
Well, let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Leke calling from Tagana.
All right, Leke, go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Okay. Where the annex is kind of came down, the reason why the IF is not functioning is because of people trying to log in. Okay, the annex, that's what their own steps to be to log in. The annex don't know that people will decide to log in to view. At least, I think that they are able to have a number. I mean, every 2 minutes, people that can enter. Because it's not possible that on that day, people in no time to view. So it's not an excuse for me.
Okay.
It's a total failure.
All right. He says it's not an excuse and it's total failure. By the way, Leke is a person living with disability, and he's one of those people that were excited to be included in the electoral process.
In the electoral process. I hope he is not. I hope he will vote again. I hope it's not that disappointed. What the first caller said is quite interesting, because look, we rather than use the figures from the beavers, the INEC said no, it should be scanned, because they were worried that in transmitting figures there might be hacking. But when you transmit a scanned PDF document, the chance of hacking is literally
zero.
nil. Yes. So that is why they were transmitting those. But the problem with transmitting scanned document is how will the voter, if there is an interested voter who wants to do computation, it makes it very difficult for him.
Complicated.
So if I want to know what my entire local government, I have to start going word for word, or probably PU for PU, adding things up by myself to arrive at the figure. It's cumbersome. Are we going to back off from this electronic thing with time? I'm concerned.
I think that, we could have covered all grounds before we presented this as an Uhuru sort of thing. Unfortunately, that wasn't done, and here we are having this banter. Here, I feel like I know earlier, it feels like deja vu that every single election cycle we're having almost the same kind of conversations, and like you said, it can be really tiring. I'm going to go quickly to WhatsApp to read some of your messages. This one says, has anyone tried to remember or make reference to how worried the APC was with the beavers for the election? I don't know.
Yeah, they were worried, and they showed concern initially.
Yes.
But then that was the direction of the country, and they can't stop because of a party. Yeah,
at the time. Okay, Matthew here says, if we could use the beavers to accredit people through fingerprints and facial recognition, why can't people vote with the same beavers and have the machine print the results right there? Do you know how much would be saved from printing ballot papers and logistics? Results should be showing in real time. We don't need professors anywhere near to come and read out manually computed results.
Very valid point. But that does not mean that what he's saying will not come with its own risk.
It does. I mean, as long as it's a computer, it's tech. I mean, there is a window for it to be hacked.
There is a risk.
This one says, in my polling unit, we were told that there was no network on the beavers, but we wrote the results after counting. Now, my question for those of us who counted and wrote the results down without snapping the result sheet, how can we prove that the results uploaded on the INEX server is different from the one counted at the polling unit? If there be differences, Maro from Magboro.
The result on IREV will show that same breakdown. Maybe it is what every party scored that you noted down. When you call up that scan document, you will see it right there. So you can come. And if it is the one for your own party that you are interested in, and you note down, oh, my party had 111 in this my PU. When you call up that sheet, you can go to your party, you will see that 111 in front of it. Hopefully, your own is one of those that is clear, because we also have issues of blurry images on IREV.
I'll take one more. I'll take one more text or one more message on WhatsApp. This one says, "My name is Fade. Okay, I'm sorry, Fade. I'll just leave it at that. I tend to agree with Gbolahan. Once INEC are done, we will help them to do the calculations manually. For me, I have my PU results on my phone, and I'm sure many others also have one.
Incidentally, that is what the chairman is saying.
How long are we going to do these computations for?
The chairman is saying, yes, I've listened to you, I've heard you. You have all these issues. Compile your evidence. Let me run through this process, and then we will review all these issues of discrepancy that you have brought up, and we will address them.
All right, let's look at some of the messages that are coming in here on our Twitter. Okay. This one says, he says to us, we should try and be objective in our analysis. When INEC server was noticed to be hacked over 100 times in the last 72 hours, and you want them to be careful, please, I think some people should fear God. Okay, Dimeji.
You want them to be careful. I didn't get that.
I have no clue what Dimeji is saying.
Yeah, we've been hearing of hacking now. And honestly, with this human head and flowers that are showing up on IREV, there's a possibility that system has been hacked.
There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I'm not going to lie. But one more message here before we say our goodbyes. Olaiton Mati says, hackers are in the play right now. I think the fact is that some people have another result they want to put on the server, which will tally with the INEC state returning office. Then the problem will happen. I'm sure INEC is aware of that, and they have refused to present the server result. But the fact is, the copy is with all state collation agents, which will be at their situation rooms respectively.
That could be conspiracy theory.
There are just too many theories.
There are too many theories, and we gave the room for all these theories. If things have gone the way it was supposed to go,
we probably will not be
no room for all these theories.
Well, it's still the mandate, and that's it. I want to say thank you, Gbolahan Olojede. Always a pleasure to have you here in the studio.
The pleasure
is mine. Of course, we may not necessarily play the card that everybody wants us to play, but we'll continue to objectively talk for development.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, we have to go, Lagos. This is it. My name is Maryann Okon. Thanking you all for being here from the Morning Crossfire and, of course, into the Mandate 2023. Our studios are still open until 11 o'clock when the National Collation Center will be opening up to us to give us all of the information that we're all earnestly expecting. And, of course, at 10 o'clock, we will have WhatsApp Lagos. But before then, Jimmy Disu is here at 9. And of course, we'll be having the discourse. Stay with us. Have a beautiful day. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, MIMIEYO. And just look for Maryann Okon everywhere else. Good morning, Lagos.
One step ahead with the latest news and trending conversations here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Don't tell people you've added weight. Why are you losing weight?
Yeah.
You eating. No, it's not your business.
That money, the pass is good. Finally.
You should be patient and pray to God that God is going to answer her prayer.
Please, this is not all about prayer. It's not like everything is not prayer. That is Nigerian mentality. If you're not finding happiness in your home, you pray.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
What do you do?
And I want to assume that you would run because I want to give the listeners context for the conversation.
In 2019, you were running mate to Atiku Abubakar. What did you learn then that you will not repeat this time?
Yes, when is the president coming out to address us?
There's a few things. One, I have a burden and a passion for young people.
The fact that you have elected a man does not mean then you begin to order him around. The president will do whatever is good for the country at any given time.
Mr. Adeshino, isn't the president responsible to the people?
What should the next president do to root out stakeholders who are complicit?
You fire those that need to be fired are fired.
It's looking like a brand new Chelsea, attacking with so much fluidity. And what can you say about that, Martin? I know you follow Chelsea quite closely.
I live close to the Chelsea training ground. That's what you mean by that. I'm not a